What up, my channel? Welcome back to another video. I'm Messy Jessie, and you're watching Yo, I am here with a book review, a dedicated book review of one of my most highly anticipated releases. Not even just one of my most anticipated releases. This is a book that BookTube has collectively been holding their breath for. We are all letting out a breath we didn't know we were holding over this book. Book Twitter is on fire for it. It is exciting because, not only because of the phenomenal synopsis, but because of who's releasing this book. And before I hop into the details, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, which is none other than Penguin Teen. Thank you so much to Penguin Teen for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. I love working with Penguin Teen. I love Penguin's books. And without further ado, let's get into the book review. The book that I am going to be reviewing is The Taking of Jake Livingston by none other than our own Ryan Douglas. Part of the reason that we in the book community are so hyped is because Ryan has been in the community for such a long time, is just a ball of joy, and we simply love to see Black queer men dropping their books. Yes, honey. We are just so excited to be supporting this debut author, especially coming out with horror noir, joining the ranks of the amazing, the rich history of Black mystery, thriller, and horror authors. And let me just start out by saying that this book, one of my most highly anticipated releases, I can't say that enough. Ever since I heard that Ryan was releasing a book, I wanted to read it. And then when I learned what it was about, I wanted to read it even more. Literal chills, y'all, just over the synopsis alone. And like I said, it just didn't disappoint me. So we are following a 16-year-old boy whose name is Jake Livingston, and he is a medium. He can see ghosts, and he also sees the ways that people have died. Everywhere that he goes, he sees ghosts. He sees ghosts who are caught in loops where they are constantly reliving their own deaths. And so he'll be trying to have a conversation with someone, and then there's a ghost just reenacting its own death. And this makes his life quite complicated. It makes relating to people highly difficult. And high school it already sucks enough, on top of being Black, gay, and a medium. In addition to all of that, he is at the mercy of his racist teachers at St. Clair Prep, where he is one of the very few Black students, and his life becomes further complicated when a troubled teen named Sawyer Dune latches on to Jake and begins to haunt him. Sawyer Dune shot and killed 6 kids at his local high school before taking his own life. And this ghost has set his sights on Jake and is not willing to let him or his soul go. Essentially, this is a survival story of this young Black queer medium who is fighting for his life. This video, by the way, will have spoiler and non-spoiler portions. I will definitely leave a timestamp for when the spoilers begin. And I think that the spoiler portion will be really good for y'all, for those of you who aren't super versed in the history and themes of horror noir. And for those of you who just want to come back to this video after reading the book and check out the spoilery version, you could do that too. So let's get into the review. Let's get into the nitty and the gritty of The Taking of Jake Livingston. First of all, though, we have to talk about this cover. This cover, the hands, it took me forever to notice these hands. I don't know why, and I think it was because of the absolute horror that this boy is in. I just love the use of colors. I love the way that fear and horror is illustrated on his face, as well as the colors, his skin tone and his hues. It's just really cool. As far as the book itself goes, I was surprised that this book is short. It is 224 pages. That caught me by surprise, but it was a good thing because that makes it a quick and a fast read. And on top of that, the pacing, it is fast. This is a great book for those of you who like to just jump right into the story and hit the ground running. And it was just like there was not a break.
There were no breaks. There were no stops.
The train left the station and never pulled back in. It was just like a constant heart-pounding adventure, and I was invested for every single second of it. One of the things that caught me off guard, it took me by surprise at first just because I'm not used to it, but I ended up ultimately very much enjoying, was the fact that the writing is quite hands-off. The description of horror gets pretty deep and in-depth, and the gore, we're going to talk about the gore though, don't you worry. It is straightforward without being simplistic, and that was a bit odd for me at first because I'm one of those readers who likes lots of detail. Ultimately, I realized that tactic was perfect for this particular story. Ryan really knew what he was doing, and he still was able to set up incredible atmosphere while using less work. It just was so cool. So this would be a really good book for a 24-hour readathon. It was so good, y'all. Also was not prepared for the insect horror. There's a spider scene. Ryan, you dirty for that spider scene. You didn't need to. We didn't need that.
We ain't need that.
Okay? I was gritting my teeth through some of the insect scenes. I felt just the crawling on my own skin. I didn't like it, but I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I can't help it. I'm one of those sickos who loves to be scared. I really, really do. And y'all know that I can't do spiders. Like, I literally went to therapy for arachnophobia. It was that serious, okay? It was serious. And the freaking spider. And it's not even just like the insect horror, but the overall gore. This book is heavy on the horror, and I dug every freaking second of it. And for some reason, I decided to read this book with the lights on low and a spooky, eerie soundtrack playing with ghost sounds, like haunted house sounds, because I don't love myself. And I think that only enhanced my reading experience, even though I was pretty sure that I wasn't going to survive the night. I was clutching Akasha in my bed, just holding and suffocating her against her will as she struggled to get away from my affection. Because I was like, I had to suffer, so now you have to suffer, because I can't sleep without you in my freaking arms, because I feel like a ghost is going to come out and get me at any moment. And I wanted to get you first. I did. I wanted it to get her first. I also really loved the themes of toxic friendships and kind of showing what a healthy relationship and what an unhealthy relationship looks like, and how sometimes our friends use us. Sometimes our friends are not actually our friends. Black kids are expected to be cool and popular, or else they're just unvaluable, and people just don't really know what to do with awkward, shy, nerdy Black kids, and I really liked that. Also, it was dope to have representation for a young Black artist. He is a horror illustrator and wants to grow up to be a cartoonist, which I thought was so freaking cool. The characters, just overall, the characters were really well done. There was a good cast without there being too many characters, and the complex relationship and family dynamic between Jake and his mom and his brother was really cool. It was really great to see. His brother is problematic. His brother is a jock, and his brother doesn't stand up for Jake when he needs him. His brother often chooses to fit in over to defend his brother who's being bullied, but he shows up for him in other ways. And I really liked the representation for that, because our sibling relationships aren't always black and white, right? Like, I have really complex relationships with one of my siblings, and so I just really appreciated that representation, especially the rep of like being a good brother, but also just not knowing how to show up for your brother's queerness and what that means and what that looks like. The relationships in this book were so well done, and the romance, this romance I could get behind. The romance wasn't heavy. It was cute and light, but also it had substance to it. And I very, very much ship Jake with his love interest. It was a pleasant surprise, and I thought that Jake really deserved to have that. But y'all know that I'm not big on romances, so if I approve of it, you know it's real. I think the reason that I enjoyed the romance was because it didn't take over the narrative. It wasn't heavy. I can't with the lengthy, extended, emotional scenes. I'm already dead inside. And you are not going to fix that. This is not Coldplay. You can't fix me. We're not doing that. It's just not possible. I think a lot of people don't realize the anti-Blackness that Black kids go through in higher learning in their high schools. It counts as dark academia. It is horrific. Every single day you are dealing with microaggressions and having to temper your own feelings. I just can't describe how stressful that is. I used to talk about this a lot on my channel, about the experiences that I had in undergrad as well as in high school that were nothing short of traumatizing. One of the most traumatizing things that I've gone through in my entire life was the racism of high school teachers, principals, and the students, and how when students are being racist, teachers just won't stand up for their kids and they'll just let it happen. And that was something that Jake constantly had to endure. So in my book, this is dark academia. And in the spoiler part of this video, I can't wait to get there because Jake does something to one of his bullies that had me rolling. I messaged Ryan and we had to have a talk about that scene. That was my favorite scene in the book. I'm not gonna lie. That was my favorite scene in the book. Hands down.
Hands down?
That was a mic drop. But also, it was one of those scenes where you're just like, and then you have to reread it again because you're not sure if he did that. But he did that. Like, he really did that. What are those? The last thing that I'm going to talk about before I move into the spoiler portion of this video is the amazing theme. Well, first of all, let's talk about the way that the paranormal themes were handled in this book. The Black spirituality. So well done. So incredibly well done. I love that more books are exploring the Black spirit. And this book did that very, very, very well. The paranormal aspects of this book were so deeply explored, as well as his ability to astral project, which is not something we get representation for a lot in books. I would love to know in the comment section down below any books that have astral projection, especially if they were done really well and you enjoyed them and can recommend. Definitely comment down below, because I'm quite interested in that. One of my favorite themes about this book, and one that was explored with the most length and depth, was the relationship between the ways that whiteness invades the Black body and haunts the Black spirit. On our just simple everyday, our day-to-day, was really well explored. That is a theme that I highly advise y'all look out for while reading this. The struggles of being Black and gay, Black and queer were really, really well done, as well as like the effects of, especially like as they intersect with Black boy identity, which isn't something that gets talked about a lot. And I just really, really love that. Okay, let's move into the spoiler portion of this video. My second favorite scene was when Jake kind of transcends his body and moves into this realm where he gets to interact with his ancestors. And his ancestors at the height of this book, when he's like really, really entrenched in this battle, are the ones who save him. He calls on his ancestral power. He calls on his ancestral abilities and their wisdom and their spirits for guidance and wisdom and for strength. And that, in terms of Black spirituality, is just huge. It is just huge. So many of us seek our ancestors for guidance and pray to them and have altars to them. That part really resonated with me. As an Afro Brujo, this book meant so freaking much to me, and I just thought the representation of the Black spirit was so freaking spot on. I just simply wasn't expecting it. But it's just one of the many ways that Black horror and Black paranormal stories are told. Another thing that I very much enjoyed was the amount of care that went into Sawyer's character and explaining why and how Sawyer got to the point that he did. His character was given nuance, and it opened up conversation about how boys don't get help and about the need for therapy and just like different things. School shootings is such a painful and sensitive topic. And I just really appreciated the way that it was handled, as well as like the history that Sawyer's character was given. He didn't just feel like a one-dimensional villain. He felt like an actual character. And there's a scene in the book, like what ultimately pushes him over the edge is that he is sexually assaulted and his mother walks in on it and he's holding a gun on his assaulter and being like, get away from me. And his mom shoots him in the shoulder. And the whole scene was just really messed up, and it just was the last straw for Sawyer. His mental health just hadn't been taken seriously by his family his whole life. And now when he's being abused, his mom isn't even there to support him and blames him. And I thought that was really important because it is indicative of how we don't show up for boys who are victims of sexual violence. It was a really difficult scene, and I just very much appreciated that Ryan explored it with so much heart and empathy. The last thing that I want to talk about regarding the taking of Jake Livingston, a cover that I just cannot keep my eyes off of. The last thing I want to talk about is how you find out that Sawyer is trying to possess Jake. He wants to use Jake's body to enact more violence on the world once again. That he is a ghost that has way more agency and control than any other ghost Jake has ever encountered. And this theme was very important because it symbolized the ways that whiteness violates the Black body. It symbolizes the ways that whiteness seeks to control Black bodies and to decide what we get to do with our bodies, to take over our autonomy and to make us compliant and also complicit. It just was so good. And so I'm speaking about this because I really want to make sure people don't miss this theme or just think it was just like a creepy element to the story. That was done very intentionally. And yes, it was creepy. And the idea of being possessed is super, super freaking creepy. But also we have to remember that this is horror noir. Also, Jake stabs his bully in the hand. After his bully calls him a slave in the middle of the classroom, just stabs him in the hand. And I think it was the funniest thing I ever read. It was hilarious. It killed me. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, y'all, that is gonna do it for this video. The Taking of Jake Livingston is out on July 13th. Please pre-order it. The link is in the description box below. And I think a lot of us don't know the importance of the pre-order. It is so incredibly important. Pre-orders actually really help an author. So if you are able to, please pre-order this book. It would mean a lot to me personally, and I know it would mean a lot to Ryan. This is a book that I really want to see people actually pick up and read and support when it comes out. And I know that y'all are going to show up for it, so I don't even need to say it. Again, thank you so much to Penguin Teen for sponsoring this video. I really like doing individual book reviews, so if there are any individual book reviews you want to see me do, comment down below. Until next time, stay safe, wear your mask, and I hope to see you in my next video.